a $20 million roster and you're not in the Big Ten championship game. To me, that's a failure. And
It's
to Ohio
definitely
State fans, that's a failure.
Let's talk about that ball. Becomes a nation forever.
Are you ready? The game. Ohio State versus Michigan. The game. Whatever you want to call it. This was such an ugly game. But Michigan does it, dude.
And Riley, that was the only way Michigan was going to have a prayer to win this game, was if they made it an ugly game. Give credit to Michigan. They had 62 yards passing.
Yeah.
And they went into Columbus, into the horseshoe, and won this game. They had 235 yards of total offense.
I was about to say, they didn't really do much better running the ball either. So.
No, they didn't. Ohio State, they had 252 yards of total offense, so they weren't much better. The only way Michigan was going to win this game was if they made it an absolute slugfest, because we've talked about it all year. The strength of this Michigan team is their NFL caliber D-line with Mason Graham, bunch of dudes up front. And what's Ohio State's weakness? They've been really injured on the offensive line. So if you're Ryan Day, why are you running the ball? You are running right into the strength of this Michigan defense using a weakness on your offense. It's dumb. You know what happened, Riley? Ryan Day got in his own head. He's heard for the last 3 years, Michigan out-physicaled us. Michigan was the tougher team. They were able to run the ball. They were able to get the yards when it mattered most. And Ryan Day and Ohio State, they said, we could just easily throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka and use all of our talent out wide. Michigan didn't have their best player in corner, Will Johnson. He didn't play this game. So who's going to stop Jeremiah Smith? Who's going to stop Emeka Egbuka? But Ryan Day said, nah, fuck that. I want to prove a point instead of trying to win a football game. Instead of just hitting the easy button in Jeremiah Smith, we're going to run the ball into the teeth of Michigan's defense, into the strength of their defense. This was dumb. You played right into their hands. The only chance Michigan had was to make this an ugly, ugly football game. Just an absolute slugfest, because that's what they've had to do all year to win football games. And Ryan Day played right into their hands. He was in his head the whole game. And now Ohio State fans are pissed. I'm pissed at Ryan Day because this was a game you had to win, and you blew it by being dumb. You blew it by being fucking dumb. Is it a coincidence that when they throw to Jeremiah Smith, they score a touchdown? Is that a coincidence? Like, that was their only touchdown, is when they threw it to Jeremiah Smith. But they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. And then Quinshon Judkins, he did have a couple of 10-yard runs, 15-yard runs, but that was when they went to the perimeter. That was when they were running stretch plays to the outside. They were like, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. Let's run up the A-gaps where our offensive line is beat to hell. It didn't make any sense. Credit to Michigan. They did what they had to do to win this game, but Ohio State blew this game. And then the other thing is, so you get your ass kicked at home, and you just lost this game for the 4th straight year in a row, and then you want to fight them when they try to plant a flag. Motherfucker, you got your ass kicked. Get the fuck off the field. You showed more fight in a fucking post-game fight than you did during the game. You want to know how you stop them from planting the flag, Riley?
Win the game.
Win the damn game.
That's 100%, dude. 100%. Especially when you're supposed to beat them by touchdowns. Not
they
points,
were 20
touchdowns.
Point favorite.
Yeah, dude.
And you lost. You scored 10 points.
The post-game brawl is absolutely spectacular work by Ohio State. Ryan Day
does nothing. He does nothing. He was on the sideline just standing there watching it happen. He looked miserable.
Let's not let Will Howard escape for this one. He went 19 of 33 for 175, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. The times that they did dial up the passing game, he did not make it smart for them. I mean, he made it pretty costly and ineffective. And you're right, man. I mean, this game was just an absolute coaching masterclass of how to choke the game that you want, that your fans want you to win.
Yeah.
You know, you can beat every team except for Oregon that comes in your way, but the only game that your fan base cares about, because that's the reality of being a Michigan coach, being an Ohio State coach. Michigan's head coach, who's had a rough year. I mean, a rough year as a head coach. He just doused any flame under his hot seat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is now, they're going to be cool with him for at least another year, give him a chance. Also, they got a lot of talent coming in, so you got to give him a little bit of love. Ryan Day is his seat just got red hot.
It was already hot because they're insane in Columbus. I don't blame them now because the argument against firing Ryan Day, which is what Ohio State fans have said for years now, they're like, fire Ryan Day. The argument against it was the fact that all of his losses were to top 5 teams. There's no shame in that. He lost to Oregon. He lost to Alabama in the national championship game. He lost to Georgia in the semifinal. And he's lost to top 5 Michigan teams the last 3 years. And the last one went on to win the national championship.
The Natties.
But against teams that he's supposed to beat, he blows them out. Like, he's undefeated against teams that you are just more talented and better than. This was not the case. This Michigan team was down their best defensive player and their best offensive weapon in tight end Colson Lovell. And they're 6-5 coming into this game.
6-5.
And you're at home. You're 20-point favorites.
In the horseshoe.
You just get your athletes in space. Emeka Ibuka, Jeremiah Smith, throw screens to Travion Henderson, Carnell Tate. You should win this game fairly easily. Now it becomes a question of, is it a legit mental block? Like, you just freeze up against Michigan. You see maize and blue in your nightmares, and you shit yourself.
I think Ryan Day does. I think you just nailed his life, dude. My man's receiving death threats like he's coaching for Pablo Escobar. He looked like a dead man on that stand.
He did.
Does he actually get fired for this, man?
I don't think he gets fired. I think he might resign.
Yeah, I mean,
because
it's pretty real at this point, dude. The heat on him is real, and it's crazy because they're still a 10-2 team. Is his job relying on a national championship?
Oh, that's what Ohio State fans are saying. I mean, I don't see them winning it. If you can't beat this dog shit Michigan team.
I mean, we just said, besides Oregon, they've beaten everyone else that stepped up. What if Michigan really is a mental block?
Yeah.
What if Ryan Day just can't beat Michigan? But what if he goes out and wins a national championship? It would be
weird because I feel like Ohio State fans would still want him fired.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Is like, does that satisfy Ohio State fans winning national championships but not beating Michigan? And I think that right there, that sentence and that sentiment is what makes Rivalry Week so beautiful.
So it's reported Ohio State has a $20 million roster this year. All their players that they retained from the NFL going pro last year and, brought in through the transfer portal. A $20 million roster and you're not in the Big Ten championship game. To me, that's a failure. And to Ohio State fans, that's a failure.
At a minimum, it's kind of a waste of money.
Where's the evidence that Ohio State is going to beat Michigan? Like, you couldn't beat the worst Michigan team that Ryan Day has played in his tenure. And you were 20-point favorites at home. Next year, the game is in Ann Arbor. You have to go on the road. Just to show you how enraged Ohio State fans are, I'm seeing Ohio State fans saying they'd much rather go 8-4 and beat Michigan than go 11-1 with a loss to Michigan. That's insane. All I'm going to say is be careful what you wish for.